If you're considering moving to Cape Coral, Florida and want to learn 10 reasons why this city might not be the best fit for you, stick around because we're talking about all that and more right now. Hey everybody, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Marc Ammons. I'm a real estate agent down here in Southwest Florida. And on this channel, I talk all about what it's like to live, work, eat, sleep, and play right here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. If that sounds like something that you're into, go ahead and click subscribe down below so you don't miss any new videos when they get released. With that out of the way, let's get into today's video. All right, so today we're talking 10 reasons why living in Cape Coral, Florida might not be the right fit for you. As many of you know, this is where I live. Cape Coral is where me and my family call home. We relocated down here from Virginia, where we had lived for a good period of time, and we were looking for a new area to relocate to. Cape Coral checked just about every single box that we had as far as things that we wanted in a place to live. So we absolutely love it down here. Really wouldn't change hardly anything about living down here. But I've met plenty of people and I know plenty of people that probably wouldn't be happy living here, just wouldn't be the right fit for them. So I've got 10 things I'm gonna go through that if they apply to you, Cape Coral might not be the right fit. One way or another, I hope you learned something, so stick around. Let's get kicked off with number one. All right, so the first one on our list is gonna be if you don't like cutting grass or having to pay someone to cut your grass, living in Cape Coral, South Florida, probably Florida in general, just might not be the right fit for you. We're a subtropical climate down here, so we pretty much are in a growing season 12 months out of the year. Depending on where you're coming from now, you may start cutting your grass in April, May, June, and then stop by October or November. So you've got 5 or 6 good months where you have to deal with that. That's a 12-month out of the year thing down here in Florida. So generally what you can expect down here in terms of how often it's gonna need to be done. In the summertime, you're probably looking at every single week throughout the bulk of the summer. So June going into probably all the way through October. And then starting in November when things start to cool down a little bit, you may be down to every other week. And in December and January, probably 1 or 2 cuts in the month is gonna be all that you need. So it's not necessarily that you're cutting it 52 times a year, but it is gonna be probably more than where you come from now. On the flip side, you're not gonna be spending your time shoveling snow. You're not gonna be spending your time blowing leaves and doing a lot of that stuff. Now, a lot of people are gonna hire a third party to come in and cut their grass for them. That's a huge business down here. There are tons of landscaping companies that will come in and mow your grass for you, do your weed eating, your edging, blowing, all of that. So if you don't want to do it yourself, you do have options. So one of the things to be aware of if you do hire a company to take over the lawn maintenance at your house is that you're typically going to pay them a monthly fee that's not going to change throughout the year. So if you're paying $100 a month in the summertime, you're going to be paying them that same $100 a month in the wintertime. Whereas in the summer, maybe they're cutting it 4 times a month, and in the wintertime, they're only cutting it twice a month. You're paying them the same amount. Now, some people get a little frustrated about that and kind of feel like they're being ripped off, but big picture, these companies do have to operate 12 months out of the year, so it's not like some places where, you know, companies can do lawn maintenance in the summertime and in the wintertime they're doing other things to make money. That's these guys' occupation 12 months out of the year. They're working extremely hard in the blistering sun in the middle of the summertime. Probably not making a whole lot of money for how many times they're cutting and what you're paying them, that they kind of get it on the back end in the winter time. So just be aware of that. If you're looking for someone that's gonna cut your grass on a per cut where you're paying them 25, 35 bucks per cut, you're probably not gonna find many people that will do that. And also bear in mind, as with almost everything, you're gonna get what you pay for. So if you find somebody who's giving you a price that is significantly lower than everyone else, ask yourself why. There's probably a reason. You're probably getting what you're paying for. So my advice is this, if you're someone who just absolutely hates cutting their own grass and also refuses to pay somebody else to do it, Cape Coral is probably not going to be the right fit for you, as is most of South Florida and probably Florida in general. So do a little self-reflection and think about if living in a place that you have to have the grass cut all 12 months out of the year is going to be a big deal or a deal breaker for you. And if it's not, there's a ton of benefits that go along with having that subtropical climate that we get to enjoy all year. So weigh your options, but that's one thing you may want to be aware of. All right, so the next item on our list kind of piggybacks on top of the last one, and that is if you're the kind of person who just lives for fall and winter, and your idea of a perfect day is curling up with a book by a fire in your living room, with the leaves outside changing and eventually that turning into snow, you're probably not going to be happy down here in South Florida, particularly Cape Coral, because we don't have any of that. It did snow one time in South Florida in Cape Coral, and that was January 19th of 1977, so it was 45 years ago. So never say never. It's not that it can't happen, but it's not something you're going to see very frequently down here. And when it comes to changing leaves and foliage, you're not really going to see that either, at least in the south part of Florida that we're at. Now, there are some areas in Florida that you can go mid-November to late November, farther north in the state, that will have some changing leaves that you can see if that's something that you want to do. So you don't have to travel all that far to see it. But down here in South Florida, it's not really something that we have. We do have some leaves that fall off the trees in the wintertime. They kind of just go from green to brown. They fall on the ground. They get cleaned up by the landscapers around the city. And so you really never even notice it. So my recommendation is this: if you are thinking about making a move down here to Cape Coral, do your own research, learn more about our climate and our weather, learn what it is and what it isn't. And I'll go into more detail in another video about how I think a lot of the negative things you hear about summertime in Florida are drastically overblown, at least from my experience down here in Cape Coral. So we'll talk about that more later, but just understand what you're getting into, understand how it's going to be different, and how the activities that you're currently doing in the fall and the winter where you're at are going to be new activities down here in South Florida. So if you don't mind trading in the pumpkin latte for a margarita and the living room couch for a chair under an umbrella on a beach, I think you'll be okay. But do your own research, understand what you're getting into. Hopefully this is helpful. All right, so number 3 on our list of reasons why moving to Cape Coral, Florida may not be the right fit for you is if you're someone who is afraid of the water or doesn't like the water, Cape Coral is not going to be the city for you to live in. And I know there's people out there who legitimately have phobias about being on or around the water. If you're one of those people, you definitely want to stay away. But if you just don't enjoy being around the water and getting to see it all the time, Cape Coral is probably not going to be the right city for you. We are surrounded by water. We're literally a peninsula on a peninsula. So Florida is surrounded by water on 3 sides, and Cape Coral is a peninsula attached to Florida. So we have water everywhere around us. We also have 400 miles of navigable waterways that run through the city of Cape Coral. It's more than any other place on Earth. And that's a mixture of freshwater and saltwater canals, as well as some freshwater and saltwater lakes. So we have a lot of water just in and around the city. If you're someone who doesn't enjoy that, probably not going to have too much fun down here. So keep that in mind. We are named the Waterfront Wonderland for good reason. So if being waterfront, being around the water all the time is not something you're into, Cape Coral is probably not going to be the right place for you. All right, so next on our list of reasons that moving to Cape Coral, Florida may not be the right fit for you is number 4, which is if you do not feel comfortable being in places that do not have strict COVID regulations, whether that's vaccine passports, mask mandates, social distancing mandates, things like that. If you don't feel comfortable or safe in areas that don't have those kinds of restrictions, Cape Coral is probably not going to be the right city for you, at least right now. So this is not meant to be political one way or the other. I just want you to have a clear understanding of what it's like in daily life, living down here, what you can expect one way or another. So typically what you're going to find is that seeing someone wearing a mask outside is going to be very, very rare down here. You may see that every once in a while. Where you are going to see the masks still is places like grocery stores. So I would say probably a third of the people in the grocery store at any given time are going to have masks on. When it comes to going out to eat, I don't know of any local restaurants that have any kind of mask requirement for patrons and people who are eating there. And when it comes to serving staff, it seems like there's a mix. I don't know if it's 50-50, but it's probably close, of places where the servers will not be masked and the other half, the establishment will require that they're either masked or they just do it voluntarily. So you're going to find that in a lot of the outdoor restaurants, it's pretty rare to have a server who is going to have a mask on, and we do have a lot of outdoor dining in restaurants here. So again, these are just things to know. Depending on what your comfort level is, you may fit in great, and it may be the exact opposite of what you're looking for. So again, just be aware of what the current situation is down here. Things have stayed wide open in Florida for most of this pandemic, and we've tried to keep it that way as much as possible. And the same has stayed true for Cape Coral. So everything is wide open. We don't have any kind of occupancy restrictions or really anything like that. We kind of just try to rely on everyone using good judgment and common sense and knowing what's best for them when making these types of decisions. So if that sounds like something that you like, this could be a great spot for you. If that's a big turnoff, again, Cape Coral just might not be the right fit. Know what's best for you, and I hope you make the right decision. All right, so we're halfway through our list. We've got number 5 here, which is if you're looking for a city that allows you to walk to most of the places that you're going to need throughout the course of your day, Cape Coral is probably not going to be the right city for you. Depending on where you come from or what kind of lifestyle you're looking for, if you're interested in that lifestyle that allows you to walk out of the front door, walk your kids to school, maybe grab a cup of coffee, go to the local grocery store, potentially walk or even bike to work, You're really not going to find that type of lifestyle as much here in Cape Coral, and it's not to say that there's not a few areas within the city that you could live that would allow you to do that, but they are few and far between. So what you're going to find is we're really laid out more like a residential subdivision, so everything is a lot more spread out. We built out instead of up. So you don't see all the high-rise buildings that you're going to see in a bigger city where people are more densely packed. That kind of gives you that opportunity to walk to everything that you may need throughout the course of your day. You're just not going to find that here. Be prepared to get in your car and drive to the grocery store, drive your kids to school if you're not taking the bus, drive to work. So if you plan on walking everywhere, again, you're going to be a little bit limited here in Cape Coral. If you don't mind hopping in the car and doing a 5-10 minute drive across the Cape to get where you need to go, or potentially 15-20 minutes over to Fort Myers, you're going to be in great shape. But again, if that's the lifestyle you're looking for, may not find that here in Cape Coral. But if you like having a little bit more elbow room, things are a little bit less congested, and there's an overall slower pace of life that gives you a little bit more space between you and your neighbors. If that's something that you're into, Cape Coral can be an absolute great fit. Just understand what you're getting into before you get down here. All right, so the next one on our list, number 6, kind of piggybacks on top of the last one, and that is if you rely on or are heavily dependent on public transportation to get around, Cape Coral may not be the right fit for you. Depending on where you live now, if public transportation is your primary mode of getting around and you either don't drive or don't want to drive, Cape Coral is going to have limited options in terms of public transportation. We do have a local bus service called the Leetran, and this is a bus service that runs from Fort Myers into Cape Coral and also over to Pine Island, so you do have that option. If you go to the Leetran website, you can see a map of all the locations that the buses travel to, and on that website you can purchase day passes, trip passes, or you can do a prepaid option where you can just put a set amount of money onto the card and use it as much as you'd like. So if public transportation is something that you use infrequently, this can be a good option for you. If it's something that you rely on every single day to get maybe to and from work and things like that, again, you may want to just look at the options that are out there to see if this is going to be sufficient for your needs. If you're primarily used to driving everywhere, this is not really going to be much of a big deal to you, except for the occasional time you may need it, but it is something to be aware of if you are considering moving down here to Cape Coral. All right, so number 7 on our list of reasons why moving to Cape Coral may not be the right fit for you is if you like living in a community that's a part of an HOA, Cape Coral does not have a ton of options for you. Most of the city is not a part of an HOA. We do have a few communities here that do have homeowners associations. Sandoval is one, Heatherwood Lakes, Trafalgar Woods. There's a number of other ones out there. And also if you purchase a condominium, it's likely that you're gonna have your condo fees and then also be a part of a homeowners association for the area that the condo is located. So we do have homeowner associations here, but they are few and far between. The vast number of homes that we have here in Cape Coral, most of them are not a part of a homeowners association. That being said, like most cities, we have a list of city codes that we are required to follow here, and they are enforced through code enforcement here in the city of Cape Coral, but you're gonna find them to be vastly less restrictive than a lot of the rules and regulations that you'll have to abide by if you do live in a community that's a part of an HOA. So if you're the kind of person that enjoys kind of those rules and regulations and the uniformity and consistency that comes from being a community that is a part of an HOA, Cape Coral may not be the best fit. We do have some options that we can explore. But if you are looking for a place that gives you a little bit more freedom to do what you want, the way you want on the property that you own, so long as you're not violating any laws or local codes, Cape Coral can be an absolute great place to live. I've lived in both. I've lived in a number of communities that had HOAs, and I saw the good and the bad that went along with that. I will say overall, I do love living in a part of Cape Coral that does not have an HOA. Just gives you a little bit more freedom to do things the way you want. So in the end, this really just all comes down to personal preference and what you're comfortable with and what you like. If being a part of an HOA is something that's very important to you, you're just going to be limited in terms of the number of homes available to you in Cape Coral that are going to fit that bill. But if you either don't care whether you're a part of an HOA or you definitely don't want to be, Cape Coral is a great fit. Just know what you're getting into before you move down here. All right, so number 8 on our list of reasons that moving to Cape Coral may not be the right fit for you is if you don't like casual atmospheres and environments, Cape Coral might not be the right fit. So what you're gonna find in Cape Coral is that the overall atmosphere and lifestyle is just a little bit more casual and laid back down here. And that seems to be the case in most things that you do. You'll see that with what people wear to work, to church, going out to eat. So depending on the restaurant and the time of year, if that restaurant's on the water and they've got outdoor dining, it's not unusual at all to see people eating in their bathing suits. Sometimes they have shirts on, sometimes they don't. It just kind of depends. But it's just a casual, laid-back area. We don't have a lot of dressy stuff. There's not a lot of formal and dressy events around Cape Coral. So it's just a more laid back, casual atmosphere. Some people love that. Some people don't feel as comfortable with that. So just know that going into it. If you are looking for an area close by in Southwest Florida that is going to be a little bit less casual and a little bit more formal and dressy, Naples, which is about an hour south, can be a great option. A little bit less casual than what we are here. But if you enjoy that casual lifestyle where you can wear a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops 365 days a year, pretty much anywhere you go around the city, and have no one think anything of it, Cape Coral can be a great fit. So explore your options and make the right decision for you. All right, so number 9 on our list probably isn't gonna be a deal breaker for too many people, but it is worth pointing out before you move down here. And that is, if you don't enjoy shopping at Publix grocery stores, Cape Coral and probably Florida in general are not gonna be the right place for you. Publix is really the grocery store of the state of Florida, particularly down here in Cape Coral. You're gonna find that to be the same. We do have some other kinds of grocery stores here in Cape Coral. We have a few Aldis, we have some of the Walmart neighborhood markets, the supermarket within Target, a Winn-Dixie, and this is being filmed middle January of 2022, and there's a new grocery store on Pine Island Road called Farmer Joe's that's getting ready to open up. There's been a lot of hype and excitement about this particular grocery store. Haven't had a chance to go yet as they don't open for another week, but I'll go check it out and let you guys know what I think. So you do have some other options, but generally speaking, if you turn a corner, you're probably gonna have a Publix there. We're always close to grocery stores no matter where you live here in the Cape, but it's probably gonna be a Publix. So just know that. You may have also heard that there's a stereotype that people in Florida love to get our subs from the Publix deli, and that's absolutely true. If you're down here and you ask someone where you should go to get a good sub, they're probably just gonna send you to the local Publix deli, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. So again, this one's probably not gonna be a deal breaker for too many people. It's just kind of a fun one to bring up and make you aware of. I love shopping at Publix. If you move down here, I'm confident you will as well. Just know what your options are before you move. All right, we made it to the end of our list. Thanks for sticking with me the whole time. We're now at number 10 on the list of reasons why moving to Cape Coral, Florida, and in this case, Florida in general, might not be the right fit for you. And that is, if you enjoy paying state income tax, don't move down here to Florida because we don't have it. Depending on where you live now, if you live in a place like California or Hawaii or New Jersey or Oregon or Minnesota, you may be paying anywhere from an additional 10 to 13% in state income tax that if you move down here to Florida, you're not gonna have the opportunity to pay. Now I say that in jest because I know that most people out there don't like paying more money in taxes than they have to. And for the few of you out there who do, God love you, Florida might not be the right fit for you. But for everyone else, it is something else to take into consideration as you're exploring relocating, particularly to Florida or really any other state. If you are coming from one of these high tax states, you're gonna find that it can make a pretty significant difference on your family's bottom line of disposable income that you have at the end of the year. If you're a married couple, you're each making $30 an hour and you're clearing $120,000 a year, that could be an extra $12,000 to $15,000, $1,000 a month in your pocket that you're not spending on taxes here that you may in another state. It may be something to keep in mind and something you want to factor into your own decision about whether or not relocating down here to Southwest Florida or Florida in general is going to be the right decision for you. As always, do your own research, make up your own mind, but hopefully this list has helped you be a little bit more educated on some of the things that go into daily life down here in Cape Coral. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you found some of the information in here new that you haven't heard before. If you did, it'd mean a lot to me if you hit the like button down below. If you haven't already, go ahead and click subscribe so that you don't miss any of the new videos I put out. And if you are considering a move down here to Cape Coral or Southwest Florida in general, and you'd like to learn more about how to navigate our housing market, find the best house for the best price for you and your family to call home, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, whatever the best way for you to get in touch with me is. I'd love to hear from you and be a part of your relocation. That wraps it up for us today. As always, thanks for tuning in, be well, and I'll see you on the next one.